Okay, so the topic I know that we had last week that everyone seemed pulled to was focus, and on the schedule it is success for today. Um, well, I was just going to ask, I think they're very connected actually, but I'm happy to do whatever the two of you would like. Okay, we'll try connecting. We'll start with a reflection first. As the atmosphere in the outside world becomes more and more filled with thoughts of uncertainty, maybe anxiety, lack of clarity, it's more and more essential that I stay truly indoors, not physically, spiritually. Come inside often into a quiet place where I can think and see clearly. And reconnect with simple things. I have a clear sense of myself, which includes my part and a trust of self, and to be surrendered not to the outside vibration, but surrendered to the message of truth in that silence. It is said that God is truth. So in that quiet space inside, being able to hear the voice of truth, God's language, staying very anchored in what I only experience in that inner silence, and letting that guide me. Whatever might be happening around me, knowing all is unfolding as it should. The part I play, I can only understand by these moments in inner silence. Om Shanti. So the feeling there is quite a connection between focus and success. If again we start with the physical example, success could be as simple as completing a certain number of repetitions of an exercise, or there's one thing that's sometimes extreme or elite athletes do, power lifters, where they're just the true meaning of strength is the maximum amount that I can lift the maximum endurance, the maximum effort, expenditure in one rep. So you've probably seen this where they just load the weights onto the bar, the Olympic bar, and you're wondering, oh my goodness. And all they're going for is one repetition. That's it. And it's very interesting when you see the look on their face as they prepare, the success in just one repetition. They have this look on their face as if everything outside has disappeared. They are so focused, just trying to succeed at one repetition, given the load, the resistance that they're working with. And yeah, they just dial in, as they say, and one rep. Now, most would say, is one rep really? Yes, it is. Under that degree of resistance, one rep is phenomenal. And that incredible focus that happens. So you see this in the fitness world, that the focus that eventually must be recruited as the resistance starts to come, more and more focus, that is more and more connection to the objective, what I consider success. So success and focus are very connected because the feeling is everyone is able to focus. What we focus on is what we each consider to be a successful thing. It would be a success if I did this, or a success if I could do that. Or sometimes I didn't do that, so it's a failure. But we're focusing on this issue of success, attainment. And so it's really important. I think the topic of success is very important, to sort out what is a success. And when we're very external focused, very outward looking, we obviously have certain ideas of success that might have to do a bit more with quantity or visible or show. And as we come into spirituality, where everything's invisible, success might shift a bit, or the external might take a bit longer to manifest. So taking a moment now with the two of you, to take a moment to reflect in terms of spiritually, what do you consider to be a success spiritually? What would be a success for you, whether it's a successful day, a successful meditation, whatever the case? What would be a successful completion of the entire spiritual journey? What is success for you? Yeah, either's fine. I think, Jima, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, I think if I'm able to integrate whatever I wish to imbibe in my life, let's say at workplace, if I want to bring some values, um, then if I'm able to at the moment, am I able to remain peaceful, and am I able to contribute in a very subtle way, with my uh, with my peace, or maybe the way my attitude, having a at that moment, do I rush for any kind of decisions, or for small thing, I think that at that moment I feel sense fortunate, or sense of success at that moment. Oh, I was able to contribute from my side in such a way that I could remain peaceful at the time. Instead of let's say, for example, if I did not create, if some we are discussing something, and instead of I like to be involved is, I know I have got that kind of parts in this, the work and all that. Rather than having those expectations, I am able to maintain my calm and then be able to contribute a team. My stage, I think that is success for me now. I'm more focusing on how can I contribute in those subtle ways. How can I remain peaceful? So those ways, I think. Judith, I cannot hear you.
Yeah, Nora had mentioned that it might depend on what aspect we're referring to, and really open to any, whether it's short term or long term or smaller.
Sorry, Judith, I cannot hear you.
Oh, why? I don't know why. Om Shanti. You still can't hear, Chima?
Can you hear though?
I can hear you.
Okay, but I'm not able to hear you. Or is it from my side, or I don't know what is it? I was able to hear you properly a while ago.
And I noticed my mic volume is not changing. Not sure why. It's odd. Oh, there goes. Can you hear me now?
Just now I could hear again, and it's kind of,
I don't know what happened.
On off.
We didn't do anything. I'm not sure. Zoom is very funny today. And I suppose a success if we are just undisturbed by Zoom's funniness. But let us know if we audibly go away again. So let's see if we can hear Nora. Did you want to share anything? Okay, sure. We're just getting the mic for Nora here. Yeah. It's very interesting. One thing I think about Raj Yoga, we call it easy Raj Yoga. And then we're told it's both easy and it's difficult. It's the most difficult thing you'll do, but it's very easy in the sense that it's very, very simple compared to many other things we're doing. So I had a scene, an incident yesterday where, just out of the blue, I was told, okay, can we film a couple of exercise segments to upload? We need some material, we need some footage. So I was just, okay, I don't know what we're going to do, but here we go. And we chose one exercise we chose to do required that, we sort of push off from one leg onto from two legs onto one leg, and then we kind of stay there and do some things, and then, so it required some balance. And there was no prep or anything. It was just, okay, here we go. And so I said, okay, I don't know if this is going to be successful. I don't know if I'm going to fall over or what's going to happen. And the beautiful thing is that in that moment, I knew the main thing I have to focus on is my core. I just, whatever's going, I have to turn on my core. And that's really the best I can do. And so in spiritual study, we're told there's one thing that in all situations you need to do. And it's always the same thing. It's always the same thing. Now, our habits of thinking convince us there's other things that we need to do, we need to think about, and all this kind of stuff. But the study itself is telling us there's only one thing you need to do, regardless of what you're facing. There's one thing you need to do. So in that sense, it's kind of the same all the time. And to me, the success is whether or not I'm able to do that one thing in every situation. What is fascinating is that our old stuff keeps popping up. And it convinces us, this is what you need to do to be successful. You know, and so we start thinking and analyzing and looking around and other people and battling, and it goes on and on. So really, the first thing that a spiritual study, which is, and when we say a spiritual study, it's very clear. The objective of the study is self-transformation. So if we're looking long-term, the objective, the success is if there is self-transformation, period. So the idea being that if I transform, the world will transform. When I change, then other things will change. So all I need to focus on is self-transformation. And what is the quality of that transformation? What exactly is changing? That I am returning to my original pure state. So that's very clear. That's what we're trying to do. That's considered success in the study of Raj Yoga. That's what it's intended for, is self-transformation for transformation of the world around us, always focusing on the self, not trying to change anything or anyone out there, focusing on the self. So that's great. So I can take that to micro when I'm in a situation. Where am I focusing? If I know that the success, the purpose of a spiritual study is self-transformation every single time, where am I focusing when I'm in a particular situation? Am I still focusing on things out there, people out there? So that's one thing. But the single thing that we're asked to do in this study for self-transformation is to stay very aware of myself as a soul and stay very connected in my relationship with the Supreme Soul. That's what I'm asked to do in the short term and the long term. That's what I'm asked to do. And it's a massive success. You know, someone can give a course or a lecture, a workshop, and many people can come and everyone loves you and they love it. But internally, we're always asking yourself, was it a success in the sense of, did I follow the direction? As I'm sitting here right now, am I following the direction? Am I remembering who and what I am? And who I belong to, my relationship is, is that happening? Because this is the essence of the spiritual study. And so when we're, yes, absolutely, then when we're from that basis, when I'm in situations, then I might have an opportunity to not draw on the old or dress the old up in new disguises, but really have a different response to what's going on the basis of following the directions. So it's very clear in that sense. It's easy because it's clear and it's kind of the same thing in every situation. But it's highly challenging because the pull of the old is so strong, from our thoughts and attitudes and awareness all the way out to our actions. I think you were going to say something, Nora. So one thing that, that you could use to categorize long-term and short-term, we could think of long-term as what I want to happen. Like in the long term, what I want to happen is I want to respond to everything from a completely different place, a very healthy and peaceful place. And then the how tends to be more of the short term, right at this moment, the how that I've been given. And then at the next moment, right at this moment, the how that. So I'm constantly, as much as I can remember, checking in on the how. Am I doing the how? The thing that again gets us, it's remarkable, is operating, focusing so much on the old, focusing without even knowing it. I'm using old stuff. And it has incredible emotional control over us. So it really will pull strongly and it will feel like it's valid and right. So it actually pulls my focus. And I have to be super, that focus again, that power lifter who has incredible, in the face of incredible resistance. If you saw how much they were lifting, it would terrify you. I think it's about 5 of jimas that they're lifting in the face of incredible opposition. They are so focused. This response, this one response in this moment. Yes, and over a period of time, many of those single one rep responses, they'll land up this particular objective, the what will be achieved, that level of strength. But at this moment, in the face of that opposition, what am I going to focus on to be able to do that one rep, that one response? And the method we're given is, it's so, the old can be so loud. I can't even hear my own thoughts. All I hear is the thoughts of the old and think they are my thoughts. So the focus has to be very clear to hear that subtle thing that is me, the soul, very peaceful, and to focus on that, to bring God into the equation, because that is my source of power. When I'm connected to that being, where is the power lifter getting that power from? Where will I get the power from in that moment? When we say power, I think it's sometimes power is just the power to trust the self in that moment, to have faith in the self in that moment, in the face of a lot of opposition. And the opposition isn't from outside, it's never from outside. All the opposition is my old stuff coming up. It's all from, this is why, during these 9 days, I don't know when people, or if people will listen to this recording, but if you are, it's being recorded on October 24th. So we're in the middle of Navratri, or towards the end of Navratri. And this is all about the 9 nights of the goddesses, the Shiv Shaktis, looking at the concept of power. And, it's such an incredible topic, this idea of power, where it's no violence, it's none of that normal concept of power, but just, it's this power of purity. They're called Shiv Shaktis because the Shaktis are getting their power from being combined with God, the one who is ever pure. And sometimes, it might feel like there's so much coming up from inside. So the story of the Shiv Shaktis is that they are trying to be victorious over Ravan. And the Ravan represents the vices. Again, this is all like internal ego, greed, etc. So to be victorious without any violence, in other words, their true nature prevails, is what we're trying to do, and how much they need to draw on the powerhouse for that. But it's like an epic battle that's going on, inside, all inside. And so obviously the victory, the long-term success is I am victorious, right? My true nature prevails. But, all these little battles along the way. And what will make me successful in these little battles along the way? It takes tremendous self-trust. You say soul consciousness, but tremendous faith in the self to be. That's a huge source of power. And when we're with the Supreme Soul, he's kind of like this number one cheerleader on the sidelines who's always going, yes, you can, yes, you can, yes, you can. And I just look over, oh, there. I'm sure I've told my story in grade 5 many times. So you both can take a nap now. And again, it was so ironic because the name of the teacher was Goodwin, Mrs. Goodwin. And I will always have the image of Mrs. Goodwin. I mean, now she's a symbolic placeholder for God. But Mrs. Goodwin, we did this little thing where we were all lined up. We're in grade 5, I don't know, 10, 11 years old, I don't know how. But we're all lined up at one goal post. And the idea is you run across it. Now I think I'd die if I did this, but you run across to the other goal post and then run back. And that was a simple thing she wanted us to do. And she did it all. So all the little boys and girls, it didn't separate us. We're all running together. And I love to run. I really like to run. So it was a lot of fun for me. My best friend, Ricky, was right beside me. And so we set off running. She says, ready, set, go. And off we go, and we're running. And we get to the other goalpost and running. And for me, it's just fun. It's play. Ricky's there. We're running together. And then it's Ricky and me. I don't know where the other kids are. It's Ricky and me, neck to neck. And I remember looking over at the sidelines, and I'll never forget Mrs. Goodwin in her sensible shoes. She had these sensible shoes. She was jumping up and down. I've never seen her like that. Yelling, go, Judy. Go. And I thought, well, what about Ricky? Like, why? And I think it was the idea of, oh my goodness, the girl might win. So she's going, go, Judy, go, jumping up and down. And that feeling of looking at someone, and I've had this feeling another time in my life, of having a moment of drishti with someone who believes in you that much is a remarkable power. So we say, focus on the self, have faith in yourself as a spiritual being. I am intrinsically good. This is what soul consciousness says. Have whatever it looks like at this moment, this is what I need to focus on, is my true state. I am intrinsically good. And then I focus on God, my number one cheerleader, watching me run through this journey. And he's going, yes, 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 you can. Yes, yes. So our number one cheerleader. And really, don't look at anybody else. So focus is critical. Where I focus is critical at any moment for that success. I am remembering a little talk we had, you might remember, with Yogesh Bai, our brother in Turkey, our senior brother. And I was really touched when he was sharing that, sometimes we respond in an old way to something. And yes, it's understandable. It's a bit like when I watch the power lifters and they've got all that weight. For us, it's the weight of the past, all that weight, and they try to lift and they fail at that moment. And it's crazy what they're trying. So it's understandable, but at that moment when we kind of respond all the way, it's as if God's up there saying, oh, what happened there? Where did I go? And then when we respond in a new way, in according to really that truth, deep trust in self, he's like, well done, way to go, yes. So really having to keep my focus, the old, what we called Ravan, the vices, the ego, all of it is really trying to pull our focus, really, in the sense that get us to think about this stuff, think in old ways. And every once in a while we throw a spiritual word in there, soul, and but really I'm thinking in old ways. And meanwhile, this incredible trust in my part, in my intrinsic goodness, really must trust. And this isn't, there's no feeling of rejecting anyone. It's really just creating the power of self-faith and taking power from God so that I really, really bolster that pure sense of self, which I'm going to need because we've also got big weights, right, opposing us, the weight of the past. And it's constantly trying to pull us into old stuff. And again, it comes laden with a lot of emotional baggage. So, that stuff keeps firing, those buttons keep firing. And so to be able to, I really loved the feeling last night. The goddess we looked at yesterday was Kali. And this idea of, remaining so connected to God. So we say companion of God and detached observer of everything. And detached observer doesn't mean rejecting or uncaring. It's just this very understanding or peaceful eye that I have as things are going off and all sorts of things are unfolding. And yes, sometimes, we're saying as I change, the world changes. And sometimes it looks like everything's kind of going in a very bad direction outside or falling apart or, we're going bankrupt or losing all our friends or whatever the case. It might look like things are going in a very funky direction. But if, I remember once hearing this message that things might be looking odd outside in a moment, in a particular moment. But if I look inside and check, is my heart clean? Have I really, to the best of my abilities, stayed true to the directions? And if the answer is no, then obviously that's what I need to do to take care of the self. And if the answer is yes, then whatever is going on, it has to unfold this way for something different to emerge that is really aligned with pure outcomes. So it's really having to stay the course and not be deceived by the old that's always pulling on us, and really trying to take our focus off the target and not be deceived by what's going on outside. That we do, the old starts to sort of create expectations of how things are supposed to look outside. And that can also deceive us. So the old can work on us internally, emotionally, and it can also confuse us as we look externally in terms of expectations. So really having to just keep checking, am I following the directions to the best of my ability? And to really, it's such I know for me, physically, when I'm finding that I'm having difficulties with some mechanics on some exercise, I'm certainly not going to just push harder and go longer. If I'm feeling pain, especially, it's like, well, look at what you're doing. Like, stop and check. What are my mechanics? What is my alignment? What am I doing? And adjust as you need to adjust. And this isn't going backwards. Everything's going inwards and upwards. There's no backwards. Sometimes they're standing still, which feels like we're going backwards, but really constantly going inwards, and out of respect for the self, focusing, looking at, are those two things intact? Because if one of those two things falls apart, it affects the other, and it definitely, my alignment will be off. So I have to check, do I have a spiritual sense of myself? And in Raj Yoga, when we say a spiritual sense of the self, we kind of suggest a full understanding. Full understanding means I know I am intrinsically pure. I am not the black sheep of the entire family of souls. I know I am intrinsically good. I also know that as I journeyed through time, I lost myself along the way. That's okay, because now I'm on this process of restoring myself. But I know my true self is intrinsically good. That's really important to have that full picture. and then full understanding of Supreme Soul, God, the purity of that soul and the vision of that soul and the sense I belong. I am truly a child of that one. So, it creates a very pure experience of myself. And if I'm experiencing any kind of pain, I need to kind of bathe myself in those pure waters, that pure experience, as long as I need to. When when athletes are, these elite athletes, they work so hard. That one rep really can knock them out. And what they'll do is it's at the point now, everything's advanced so much that at these extreme athletic events, they actually now have a hot tub on the sideline. Used to be you had to go home or something, but now it's right there, maybe with some special solution. And they actually just slide into it and bathe there so that, because there's pain. And so immediately get into that hot tub and just sit there as long as you need to. And we sometimes need to really, it doesn't, it's been said that the old fights very vigorously with the powerful ones. And so if I find, oh my goodness, I'm reacting a lot, etc., it's okay. It's not a sign that I'm a lost cause. It just means I need to take more care to bathe myself in pure thoughts. I need to focus on that. Forget about external indicators. I need to focus on that a lot, right? Really healing, addressing the pain, the pull of the past, bathing in very pure thoughts. So I'm going to stop there and check in, see if there's anything either of you would like to share. So it's not just me on this recording. It's in your hands, Jima. Did you want to share anything? If not, we can just go into reflection.
Yeah, I think a couple of things like a lot of this week is going on about the power more and more experimenting with power. I think that's very, very useful for, and yeah, tremendous trust is important at time, when I reflect, like, what is it that, if some power is not coming up in that form it should be, I already have understanding and things. So there, what is that can be hindrance in, becoming that power, to bring that power in me. So I was really thinking about, could there be a trust that, I think all to do is like trust, if am I that really in the reality that I am Shakti, and am I having that trust in myself, then was more and more to, I think, with the trust with myself, and then having that experiment on a small thing at that moment. What am I doing? What am I doing? Am I really getting it? So that a lot of reminder for the self and sense of time, I think is very crucial. Yes, to keep myself in that awareness that, do I really want to claim that, my true original self, that is the inspiration and time that I am at, and I really want to go back to that original, truth myself.
Great. Thank you, Jima. I think one thing that's really helpful always along the way, even though the method stays the same, doesn't change, but sometimes an athlete will come to a fitness regime, and there's a set protocol, a set thing they need to do, but they might be coming with injuries. And so in addition to the set thing that they're being given to do, they might also find that they have to develop a little bit of a program to address the injury. So they might be doing, some massage on the side or whatever the case may be, so that they can do that protocol in the accurate way. And I think sometimes it's useful for the self if I can identify where our spiritual injury might be, to give myself a program that specifically addresses that, almost like spiritual massage, if you will. So that can also be a focus, that kind of program. I'm not stepping away from the directions. It's actually, what do I need to do so I can follow the directions, is what we're looking at. Is there some little blockage or injury that I need to do something about so I can follow those directions, those simple directions? So that can be a sort of short-term, a step, if you will, towards success, is creating that program of focus. This is what for me, I don't know how many times I come back to silence. I find silence extremely healing and nurturing, and it really puts me in a position where I have a better chance of following the directions. So, having these little programs, you don't need to wait for anyone, and it doesn't need to be a physical silence, but being very clear internally, I know I need a lot of silence to be able to follow these, to be healthy enough, powerful enough to follow these directions. So sometimes just a simple focus can really support me in being able to do what I need to do to be successful spiritually. So we're going to go into reflection now, if that's okay. Is that okay? Yes? All right. With one thought, I come inside. I have to go quite deep inside because I have internalized so much of the outer world. It follows me into my head, thinking about roles, responsibilities, past scenes and situations. They all follow me inside. And so I go very deep inside, a place where those thoughts can't follow. My own inner meditation space, my inner sanctuary, complete sense of almost amnesty in that space. I have nothing to prove, defend, explain, or show. It's a place where I can just be in whatever state I am. Be quiet, still, accepting. Don't have to figure anything out. It's a place where I can breathe. And I allow my attention to sit there for a moment, slowing down. Feeling my mind become more quiet. No sense of time. I'm beginning to feel my attention become more focused. as there is less and less to think about. This place is so valuable because it's where I come back to the point. I can reconnect in the deepest way with my sense of self. No other noise. A point of value. Experiencing the value of the self. Independent of any conditions. Based completely on my intrinsic values of peace, light, simplicity, and the more calm I become, the more open I am to experience a sense of connection to the one who is ever beyond. The one who has constant, deep faith in me, who knows my part perhaps better than I myself do. I let my mind be with that one, God, the Supreme Soul, and allow his thoughts to heal my mind, wash away heavy thoughts, fearful thoughts, even critical thoughts. Wash them away with his pure thoughts. And in that moment, I receive the power to continue on my own spiritual journey towards my objective, the image of success, completely loyal to my true self, my pure self, restored. That is, after all, the point. Om Shanti. So unless there is any other thoughts before we conclude, well, this has been very cozy. I look forward to the next time we connect. I know Jima will be on for the next session, and then we'll have the November schedule out. All right. Om Shanti. Bye.